This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. I used Squarespace to build both Basics with Babish and BingingWithBabish.com. On the sites, you'll find recipes, equipment lists, other news, and updates. All beautifully designed, if I do say so myself. Get 10% off your first Squarespace order by visiting squarespace.com/babish.
自分のさ、体の寸法とか筋肉の一つ一つの形ってさ、案外きちんと把握できてないからさ。それら全てを認識してこそ本物の全集中なり。って俺の育てのじいちゃんがよく言ってたな。
Hello there, welcome back to another episode of Anime with Alvin. Today we're going to be taking a crack at the potato mochi from Demon Slayer. This chewy glazed potato snack seems to take inspiration from Mochi, a potato style mochi that originated in Hokkaido. The first thing we're going to do is peel 6 whole Yukon Gold potatoes around medium size. It's a lot easier to boil and mash them without the skins, and it appears I have cut myself with the peeler. Clearly, this peeler was forged and sharpened by none other than Hagonezuka-san himself. Rachel is going to help me peel the rest of the potatoes. I have now lost approximately 50% of my dexterity, it seems. Now that we are gloved so that we can contain our injury from earlier, we will now proceed by cutting these potatoes into just small cubes, roughly chopped. These get simply thrown into a pot of water and boiled for about 20 minutes until very tender. A sprinkle of salt serves as the base level of seasoning, and we just kind of let that ride. While our potatoes boil, we're going to work on that sticky glaze that we see. So in a saucepan, we're going to combine half a cup of soy sauce, half a cup of sugar, 4 tablespoons of mirin, and 4 tablespoons of sake. Once this has gone to a simmer, we're going to thicken this by adding in 1 tablespoon of potato starch with 2 tablespoons of water. Kind of like a cornstarch slurry, but we're using potatoes here. Once this is nice and sticky, we're going to take this off the heat and go and cut up some whole milk mozzarella cheese, because Mochi has a variation where there is cheese inside these potato snacks, which is very fun. I'm cutting them to approximately the size of butter pats. Into a large bowl, we're going to ladle out our cooked potatoes from earlier, which are very tender at this point, and mash them up with my weapon of choice. I like to let them cool a little bit so that the steam doesn't just blow up in my face. It's good to mash this until there are no huge chunks left, otherwise it'll be a little bit more difficult to make the mochi. This wooden weapon is not very effective, so we are going to swap and upgrade to a steel one. Into our mashed potato, we're going to add in 2/3 of a cup of potato starch, also just to help bind it a little bit, make it easier to roll and be less sticky. Once this potato dough is essentially ready, we're going to roll this out onto our cutting board into a long, even snake. And similar to making gnocchi, you're going to chop this up into 1-inch size cubes. And to assemble, I'm going to make half of these without cheese and half of them with cheese, just so we can see the difference. First, we're going to flatten, roll, and shape rounded corners of a square into our potato mochi. These ones don't have cheese in them. And for the ones with the cheese, we're going to try and shape that exact same shape around a piece of cheese itself. Cheese square right in the middle, pushing down and folding the sides around, kind of wrapping up a little baby in its blanket and completely suffocating it. Anyways, now that we have 4 of each, it is time to now cook these potato squares. Into a non-stick skillet, I am adding in 3 tablespoons of oil just to lightly fry the potato-only mochi on both sides until golden brown, about 3 to 4 minutes per side. Once they develop a nice crust, we take them out, let them drain on a rack with paper towels, and we cook the cheese ones. I'm adding 5 tablespoons of oil this time, and it seems like the more oil you have in the pan, the more even the browning will be. So if you like a more well-rounded, crispy thing rather than a more charred sort of version of a mochi, go for the more oil. After 3 to 4 minutes per side, the cheese is now melted, and we are now ready to glaze these mochi. The final touch is a garnish of a little nori square put on each one. So we're going to take sheets of nori and cut them into basically the size of those cheese cubes we put in earlier. All of these fried potato soldiers go onto a tray, and we delicately brush our sweet soy glaze, which is now thickened, right over the top on both sides. These actually are very soft in the middle because it's basically all just potatoes, so if you're going to put them on skewers, be a little careful because the gravity might just make them fall off the skewer. Now I present to you our version of the Mochi, or Hokkaido style potato mochi from Demon Slayer. 2 squares per skewer. Let's go ahead and start with the cheese one. Oh, that's pretty good. Soft potato, nice warm cheese, and a sweet but salty soy glaze seems to make this a very addictive snack. So addictive that I definitely bit into another warmer one to see if I could get a bigger cheese pull. Oh yeah. That's a pretty good one. The cheese is very long, and we are going to slurp this up like a noodle. But how about just the potato ones with no cheese? I've decided to use my blade, and I can actually say that I like this one a little bit better. It holds up a little bit more, the structure is there, and you get more of that potato taste. And I feel like this is the kind of thing they made back in the 1800s, maybe around when Demon Slayer was happening. Where's that peeler from earlier? I'm gonna go take on Upper Moon 4.
Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. They've been a great partner in supporting the Babish culinary universe and bringing my websites to life. From websites to online stores to domains and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for you to build your online presence. They also have SEO tools so that your site is getting found and searched by more people more often. If you want to try it for yourself, you can start your free trial today by visiting squarespace.com/babish to get 10% off your first purchase.